I'm really excited about it. Um, so let's see here. I just want to make sure it says we are live.
Yes.
But I want to make sure that we are live. I'm really excited. There we go. Okay, good.
Okay.
So all right, good. Okay, so the breath is such a fascinating topic. I mean, I was talking to someone on a call the other day. It's our most powerful tool and connection to source and divine and God.
Yes.
And yet it's so I don't know, ever present that we never think about it like consciously. Yes. It's like, oh, just doing that. It's like, whew, come back in my body. I feel power. And we are learning, I believe, this is one of the things I was talking about this person yesterday. We are learning how to activate our fullest power and our fullest presence with just the most simple, basic human anatomy response is breathing. And I'm really excited about this today to talk about.
Yeah, because I mean, breathing is the most natural thing that we do. The first thing we do when we're born into this world is we breathe in the world. Yes. With all its frequencies and energies. The first thing we do is we inhale the world and exhale the world. So this is something we know even before we are born, how to breathe. And yet most of us go through long periods of life where we do not breathe. We are shallow breathers, or we breathe chest breathers. And this is because our body is being conditioned to breathe in this way. We live in fear, so we start breathing in this conditioned way. And it's almost like the body has to learn how to breathe in a shallow way, because it knows from the beginning how to breathe. A little child knows exactly how to breathe when it's born. And then something happens and we forget how to breathe. But the breath connects us to eternity. The stillness between the in-breath and out-breath is the stillness that we're looking for. It is eternity, and it connects us to this.
Right.
And we are never, if we're conditioned to be a shallow breather, we never give that eternity place any space in our reality, because we are not aware of the silence between in-breath and out-breath.
Yes.
We keep breathing so fast that we're not aware of it. And what that does to us is that it actually affects the space in our mind, and it affects the way we perceive our reality.
Right.
Because what we do is we perceive reality through our mind. And if that space is too small, we can't perceive everything that is there.
Right.
So just knowing how to breathe, we know how to breathe, but just remembering to breathe will help us see more of reality.
You're reminding me of, I did this breath work, holotropic breath work session with this facilitator one time. And I've done a lot of controlled breathing through meditations, but this was a different type of exercise. And I had this psychedelic experience from it. And what she was doing is breathe as fast as you can through your nose and out your mouth, like, and just keep doing it. And she warned me beforehand, and I can even feel a little bit right there. She's like, there's going to be a point where you're going to feel dizzy and you think you're going to pass out. Keep going through that. She's like, don't worry, just focus on in and out, and just keep breathing. And as I did that and kept doing that cycle, all of a sudden something clicked beyond, and I did get like, am I going to pass out? Everything kind of got fuzzy and tingly, but then something clicked over to, you said, the infinite connection to it. I mean, it was like I was in another realm. I was in another, and this was just me laying on the floor breathing, but it was the most powerful healing experience, all because I activated my breath and went through this point of fear. And so it's interesting that fear restricts our breath. And in this exercise, she said, you're going to come to a point where you think you're going to pass out. You're going to feel afraid, to keep breathing through it. And on the other side of this, it was almost as if I was connected in the present moment. I could feel the infinite and divine presence of all. And why I think this matters is I was able to heal something from my past in that once I got on the other side. But in the restricted breathing, short breath, the normal everyday getting along breathing, the activation didn't take place. But when we're talking about breath now, it's with such intention that we can activate whatever we want.
Yes. And it's so interesting how you say that everything expands when you are in that place where there's enough oxygen in your mind, because the oxygen declutters your mind. The oxygen expands your mind as much as it can expand in that moment. But if we keep breathing shallow, it is never enough oxygen to declutter the mind and expand it. So we stay in a place, it's almost like a prison. You stay in that prison, especially if you live from a fear-based perspective. Like you have this fear frequency going on, not allowing your muscles and your diaphragm to relax enough so that it will work the way it's supposed to work. Because when it works the way it's supposed to work, all the muscles and everything, it will expand and push your ribs aside so that your lungs can expand. And when your lungs expand, there's more surface where the oxygen can reach to your blood. This is why you need the expansion of your lungs so that all the oxygen can be picked up. And that's how you activate your mind. And it's also, I've been asking questions, why do I need to breathe in through the nose and out through my mouth? Why is that so important? And you know how when there is a smell out there and it reminds you of something from your childhood, smell is the one thing that really can pull you back in time like that. Just a simple smell of something can put you back in your memories. And this is because you're using your nose to smell. And the same thing goes when you are breathing in air, you're actually activating certain areas in your brain which are connected to your memory. So there's been studies done when people breathe in through their nose while they're doing an exam or some kind of exercise, they will remember more than if they breathe through their mouth, because it's connected to memory. So there is an activation going on. When you breathe in, you activate something in your mind. And then when you hold your breath, you allow yourself to see what is activated. And when you release it, when you exhale, you are releasing the things that you don't want anymore. If you're present in your breathing, you can do the same thing as your body does, because it inhales oxygen and carbon dioxide. But your body knows where to release the carbon dioxide. And when you exhale, you release the carbon dioxide. You release the toxins, which will relax your body.
Yes.
So there is an activation, stillness, and then there is a release where you relax, activate and relax, activate and relax. And then there is a choice in between there. This is why when you breathe in through your nose, you're actually activating certain parts of your brain. And if you breathe in through your mouth, it won't be the same thing. Of course, when you run, you might need to breathe through your mouth because you need to have more air in. But if you're breathing in through your nose, you're actually controlling part of your brain is being activated. There is a control in this. And I know that many people don't like the word control, but when you control what occupies your mind, you also know what's going to occupy your life and become your reality. So this is the only place where control actually works for me. I need to know what's happening in my body while I'm breathing.
It's interesting that I've had multiple panic attacks. I had this stint where I was going through panic attacks where it was just like, and just, it's all, the breath is like stays here and it just kind of goes here.
Mm-hmm.
But when we breathe through our nose, I can feel the circulation down and creates this looping cycle. And I was doing some research this morning where we're going to talk about breath, of what is the benefits of nose breathing versus mouth breathing. And the nose, they say, well, just pure with the nasal hair filters out dust and allergens and pollen, which helps prevent those from entering people's lungs, which is interesting too. I saw that there's this movement here in the United States with older men to get their nose hairs plucked out or pulled out, like waxed. And I was talking to this one gentleman who never had allergies his whole life, never dealt with anything. And he got his nose hairs pulled, and all of a sudden he's dealing with massive allergies. So the nose and the nose hairs help with that. But I did not know this. And these two things are so fascinating. Breathing through the nose warms and moisturizes the air that we breathe in, which brings the air that we inhale into our body temperature, making it easier for our lungs to use it. So our lungs, it takes time, if we're breathing through our mouth, to warm that air up and activate it. And then it said, breathing through our nose produces nitric oxide, which during nasal breathing, your nose releases nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is a vasodilator, which means it helps widen blood vessels. This can help improve oxygen circulation in the body. Okay. So this oxygen, it really does so much to our body, spiritually and physically, all at the same time. And I think it's so fascinating. Lauren and I were talking about school this morning with our kids, and like, what are the things they're taught versus what are the things that would be really beneficial as humans, like teaching them to breathe and having seconds of, and then talking about this and teaching them what is nitrous oxide and things, but we're not taught these beautiful truths.
No, and it's almost like not about teaching, it's more about paying attention to the breath. When with a child, you could just say, we're going to lay down and we're going to breathe, and just pay attention to what you're doing, and just helping them to focus where this breath is and what it does, and to focus on how breath actually can expand space within your body. I had an aha moment while I was doing yoga with this beautiful soul on YouTube. Adrienne is her name. She's really famous in yoga. And I don't do much yoga otherwise, because I have no time to go somewhere. So I thought I'll do some yoga here with her. And it was about back pain. And she was talking about that. And while being on all four, like that, trying to do the exercises that she was doing. And she says, breathe space into the area where you feel this. And I'm like, how do I do that? And then I just managed to do it, because I focused my mind on that area. And then while I took the breath in through my nose, I could connect to that area and I could feel the expansion in that area. And I'm like, this is so awesome. I can expand space in my body while breathing in. It's almost like mimicking how my lungs expand. I can expand that in other parts of my body, just becoming aware of it. I'm not doing anything different. I'm doing exactly what I did before, but my awareness of it makes it easier for me to control it, in a sense.
Yes.
So, teaching children about the chemistry in it, maybe, but I think just making them aware of what breath is and how it can expand space and time.
Yes.
Because it does expand time. When you know how to breathe in and breathe out properly, it's the signals that you send to your body and to your mind. And if you're breathing shallow, your mind will think, oh my God, we're in a hurry. And time will literally feel like it's shorter than it actually is.
Yeah. That's a great
So
point.
there is a connection between both space and time in our breath. And I love to explore that, even if I don't know to breathe like a yogi. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
But I do understand what feels good. And you usually say, if it allows you to breathe, then it's true. And I can remind myself of that sometimes, thinking about, How am I breathing? Why am I not breathing in fully? Just awareness of the breath will align you, or even make it halfway through being an expert in breathing.
Yes. Yes. The word for breath in Hebrew is neshama, which also is the word for soul.
Mm.
And so I look at soul in Proverbs or Genesis 2:16 says, and God breathed into man and man became a living soul. And I'm like, what's a living soul versus a soul? Is there a distinction that needs to be
Oh,
made?
yes, there is.
This verbiage, 100%. Yes. And so the living soul is one that can receive and release. The stagnant soul cannot receive anything. So I even talked about the physical benefits of the nitrous oxide being produced, or the oxygen flow, or the humidified air being made the temperature of our body, and our lungs can use it. But the soul that is not a living soul, that cannot receive love, cannot receive oxygen the way it's intended to be, cannot open up. That's the soul struggling right now in this world. That's the soul detached, unaware, unfulfilled. And it's simply coming back to this receiving and releasing.
Yeah, I think that, to me, the living soul is a soul which has manifested parts of itself in a body. So we're all living souls, but how much of your soul is your living being allowing through?
That's so good. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the distinction between a soul and a living soul is that a soul is not yet manifested into a body. And when you have manifested, or there is a body that is connected to the soul, or there is a frequency, a lower frequency, which is manifested in a body. I'm trying to find the right words, but there's a body and there's a soul, and there is no disconnection between them, because the body is just a lower frequency of the soul. So when a soul chooses to explore that lower frequency, if we do not know how to breathe, our body stagnates that part of the soul and makes it not movable in this world, makes it not, it is not expanding. And when we talk about expanding your mind with the in-breath, it is literally to allow more of that soul life force through you. And it's always present. We are walking around with this power tool, which is the breath, which is always present, which will always give us this life force. And we forget how to use it because we're too afraid. I mean, you don't even have to learn how to breathe. As I say, you know how to breathe. If you're aware of this, if you know that, okay, I'm breathing in through my nose, holding my breath a little bit, and I'm breathing out. For me, the holding my breath was also a revelation before I understood this, because I've been a shallow breather for a long time in my life. When you have a past the way, my past didn't allow me to be a normal breather. I always had this shallow breathing. So I think I was almost in my 30s when I started learning how to breathe. And that was because I was going to give birth to a child. So I was forced to learn how to breathe, literally. Realizing that something happens when I breathe with my body. I can feel the tingling in my hands and in my feet. And what is this? 30. I reached 30 before I started breathing like a living soul.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So why do we wait? I want everyone listening and watching this just to become aware of their breath and this power tool that they're literally carrying around everywhere. You can do it anywhere. You can just sit down and you can focus on your breathing. And it's not about meditation. It's not about doing it the right way. You don't need a yoga mat. You don't need scented candles. You don't need water. You don't need anything. All you need is breathe in and breathe out. Become aware of the in-breath, almost saying thank you when you breathe in, and release in, allowing it to flow out of you. Just that thing. For me, one night where I was disturbed by some cars outside, I couldn't go to sleep. So I started being stressed out and didn't know what to do with myself. So I started breathing.
Mm.
And in order to calm myself down, I thought in my in-breath, I will say I, and then I'll hold my breath and say am. And when I release, I will say here.
Mm.
And then I changed it to I am present, I am calm, I am love, while breathing, like I hold my breath, am here. That one was the most powerful one because I could almost feel God presence in me when I said I am here. And it's in the stillness between the in-breath and out-breath, the am is, like the being is. This is where the stillness, the real I am.
Mm.
And it's amazing what you can do. And it's just 3 words and 1 in-breath and 1 out-breath. Nothing else, and just holding the breath. For instance, you can count to 5, as we do in our course. You count to 5 while you breathe in, hold your breath, counting to 5, breathe out, counting to 5. And then do it all again. Do it 5 times. So it will be 5, 5, 5.
Yeah.
And it will oxygenate your body, and you will suddenly see how everything changes. Even the light in the room will change when you do that.
Yes. It's incredible. The breath also, when we do breathe in that way, and you said almost connect to the God force within, it creates a sense of safety. We feel safe,
Yes.
safe.
Yes.
And when we feel safe, that's when we can play with these memories that may not be activated when we don't feel safe, which is such a beautiful, I don't know, outcome of breath. It's like when we don't feel safe, we can't look. It's the blinders get put on. We just keep marching forward and we're going down this predetermined path. But when we can breathe and come back and feel safe, then we can look and say, what was that? Or what is this? Or what are they doing? And it's in that present moment, breathing, that almost feels like the way, I don't know if you've seen the movie X-Men, but Dr. Xavier would go into that giant ball and he could see everything and he was attached to it. I feel that way when I breathe. It's like, like where I know there's a computer in front of me right now, but I almost feel like I'm just in time and space, just observing, and I can look and pull things forth and replay if necessary, or discard or bring forth. I mean, it's really a powerful place to breathe. And that breath is connected to truth. And the truth is connected to our freedom.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It's like a control center where you can control your own behavior. And I'm not saying control it in a way that they want you in school or your parents want to. You can control your behavior so that you can find what feels good within you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that you can find what feels safe, so that you can find what feels peaceful within you. If you're a shallow breather, then you will see everything as fearful and you can't find the peace, you can't find the calmness, and it's there. It's just a little bit longer breath away, nothing else.
Right.
It's the difference from seeing fear and darkness and seeing love and light, that little time of a longer in-breath. And doing it consciously, because when you start doing it consciously, that is where the control is. As long as you're shallow breathing, it will be almost like the world breathes for you. You're not breathing yourself. You're just breathing habitually. You exist in it, and the world breathes for you. When you stop that and you say, wait, I want to take a longer in-breath here. You're the one in control. You're the one in charge. You're the one that controls the center in your mind, because you decide how much oxygen is going in and how much of it is going out. You're in a place where you are making a choice. And this is the way I see reality, we're born into this reality to understand the power in the now moment and how we create our own reality.
Mm-hmm.
And that is literally the fractal of it all. This shows you how the world works. You always have a choice, even when breathing. You have a choice if you want to make a short in-breath or a long in-breath, or if you don't want to breathe,
Right.
you have choices. And if you're not aware of that choice, then something else is dominating you. Something else is creating this reality for you. Something else is using your mind in order to create whatever it is that you're seeing, feeling, touching, smelling in your reality. You
Right.
are not in charge of it. So how do you become, this is the easiest, fastest way to feel how much control you actually have in your own reality creating,
Right.
because this is immediate. You don't need a week for it. It starts immediately. When you start breathing calmly, you are the one controlling what your body does. You're the one controlling what kind of chemistry your mind is sending out to your body.
Yes. Yes.
So the breath is one of the most powerful tools we have. And this is why we talk about that in our first session in our course. We talk about the breath, how important it is. Because without this tool, without knowing how to use it, say that you want to go back in your memory, want to go back and see, why am I behaving the way I am behaving now? Where are the triggers? What happened to me? Why am I doing this?
Right.
Well, you need a safe space in the now moment in order to quantum jump back in time. And if you're not feeling safe, say that you're breathing in a shallow way, that you are in a fearful space, you won't be able to do the jump properly.
Right.
And if you do the jump properly, quantum jump back in time, all you will be able to see is the fear that was there.
Mm.
And that will condition you not to go back there again.
Right.
But if you know how to breathe in the now moment, if you are safe and feel at peace and calm in the now moment, which you regulate with your breath, regardless of what happened to you, because for me, whatever happened to me in my past, in the now moment, I'm totally alone in this room.
Mm-hmm.
There is no one hunting me, no one trying to change anything, no one trying to hurt me, which means that I am in charge of this space, and I can decide what my mood is.
Mm.
I can decide if I'm afraid, if I'm calm, if I trust. I decide. No one else decides that.
Right.
And I can regulate that with my breath, sending signals to my brain, telling my brain that it's all good. Through the vagus nerve, when you breathe out slowly, not breathe out like, breathe out slowly, create a small space where you allow the air to come out slowly as it comes in, it comes out. You're actually stimulating the vagus nerve, which says all is good. We're breathing very slowly, so everything is fine. I sense that everything is fine. So it sends signals to your body, relax, it's all good. We are in control here. Just breathing slowly in and breathing slowly out controls your perception of reality.
Yes. Which is
amazing.
Reminds me of the line we talked about in the course. Bruce Lee says, when you find yourself surrounded, trapped in a room full of your enemies, say not that I am trapped in here with you, but rather you are trapped in here with me. Mm-hmm. And that's such a powerful distinction. And I think only a man or woman, only a person that has their breath in control, that can control their breathing, can flip that reality and say, I am in control.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's this space that we're talking about, this mind room or head space. When you're breathing in a shallow way, if you have a cluttered mind, which we all know everybody has from time to time, it stays cluttered. Nothing changes in there. And if you're breathing in a shallow way, nothing changes in your mind, you become a mind wanderer. Like mindlessly wandering around in your mind. This is what overthinking can look like. And it's usually connected to not being able to open the space and push things away so that you have more space. Your mind is, you're supposed to use your mind as a place where you explore ideas, where you put new ideas up, where you daydream about reality, where you check things. Are they really what I'm seeing here? You're supposed to use your mind. How can you use your mind if it's cluttered?
Right.
You can't even walk through it. There is no energy flow through it. And if there is no energy flow, you feel stagnated. And this is how your mind starts to wander. You're looking at all the things that are there, and you lift the papers and you push the furniture, but nothing happens. So when you start breathing, it's like opening the windows and the dust comes out and you're like, whew, I can breathe again. That's exactly what you're doing. When you start breathing, you open your mind, and that's the feeling you get in your mind. You declutter the mind by breathing. You can actually see the fear that usually keeps all the things in place in your mind, or tries to control them, how it disappears when you start breathing, because it's an illusion, and the breathing will always connect you to the truth, not the illusion.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
So
as
yeah,
you were
go
talking,
ahead, Lucas.
I had this memory pop up that I haven't thought of and I've never shared with you, but I'm going to tie it into breathing. So when in my early 20s, I would play music at prisons in the US. I would play for the inmates and I'd give messages. And one time I'm in this state penitentiary in the state of Washington, and I'm playing music, and there are people playing other instruments, and I'm leading the music and playing the piano, and I'm have my eyes closed and I'm singing about God. It was worship music when I was in that world, but I was singing. I will never forget immediately. I mean, as like an arrow got shot right at me. All of a sudden, these horrific thoughts and images started flashing in my mind, and I'm playing, and like it was I know what they are, and I'm not gonna say them, but it was horrific. And I opened my eyes, and I'm still singing. I'm still leading. I open my eyes, and there's this guy standing right in the back of the room, looking right at me, not paying attention to anything else. So while it was while I was jolted by this guy's like staring and sending just horrific psychic curse or whatever he was doing. So I fight it off and I continue. And once I fought it off, he left. And I continued, but I'll never forget that experience of like, I knew something was happening in my mind, not of my own volition, not of my own desire, not of my own creation. I opened my eyes, and this guy's just, and I realized that this is often the case, even if we can't see people directly in front of us, sending us thoughts. Like thoughts will enter our mind. This will get back to the mind space. When things enter our mind and we don't have a tool to come back and create that space of safety, then these thoughts can sometimes come into our mind and create fear of like, why am I thinking this? Or why do I have this? Or why do I feel this way? Or where is this coming from? And then without reclaiming our own power and breathing and understanding the truth of our present moment, we can fall prey to these lies, which constrict our breath, keep us slave to this other power structure that's not our own choosing. And so one of the things that's cool, I think, about our course is not only are we teaching people how to breathe, but creating that sense of safety. So no matter what thoughts are in their current peripheral in their mind, to create enough space so they can say, oh, this is mine. This was my father's. This is mine. This is my mother's. This is mine. This is what these people did to me. And decipher those so that they can live and find the peace that they're desiring, that we can find, as we have. Anyway, I think that ties in that there's so many thoughts that can enter our mind. Doesn't mean they're our own, and doesn't mean that they just randomly come. Sometimes there's, I was talking to you, like psychic attacks or thoughts or just frequencies that broadcast in the air, and our mind just happens to catch it. But giving people the tools to separate from the thought and understanding that the thought is not them. They're playing
exploring
with
it,
exploring the thought to then create their own reality. Yeah.
Yeah, this is because truth and clarity walk hand in hand. Always, truth and clarity. And if you want clarity in something that feels muddled, you need to breathe. You cannot see clarity unless you know how to breathe, unless you are oxygenated, unless you are safe within yourself.
Mm.
And this is where a lot of people say, but I don't trust myself. Well, I understand that, but I feel like if you allow yourself to breathe, you will be able to trust yourself more. It's like a muscle. You learn how to trust yourself. Sometimes you will do something that isn't what you want to do, but it's okay, forgiving yourself and then continuing. This is learning how to breathe and oxygenate your mind and your heart and your body will help you navigate through this. It's not getting it right immediately, but the more you can breathe in the right way, the more you can allow the oxygen to help you see clarity, the more you will also know what is the truth for you.
Yes, yes, yes.
And the truth, I think we talked about it in our last Sunday live, but the truth is always the same within me, and it's the same within you. The truth is that we are this stillness exploring reality. Everything that pops up in this zone of creation is a part of an illusion that we're creating. So the only truth is the stillness between the in-breath and out-breath.
Mm.
In-breath and out-breath are part of the illusion. And this is how we live our life. We need to breathe in and breathe out because we have a physical body that is a part of this illusion that we're exploring. Right. And this physical body needs this illusion of cyclic in-breath and out-breath. But in between those two, there is a stillness, and that is you. Yes. And I, and every other consciousness in this world. So using this part of the illusion where you treat your in-breath and your out-breath as something sacred, to not forget that it is a sacred act to breathe in and breathe out. And I don't remember where I read about this, but there was someone saying that hail the inhale and hail the exhale. You have to say, hail the inhale while you inhale and hail the exhale while you exhale. That's how long you need to breathe. There was another, I don't remember her name, but I'll have it until our next Sunday live. This woman says, breathe in, my friend, to herself. Breathe out, my friend. It's like speaking to your body to breathe and saying, breathe in, my friend. Breathe out, my friend. This is to be kind and present in your body while it breathes, being grateful for its in-breath and out-breath, not taking it for granted, not just walking around in a habitual way, breathing in, breathing out, surviving, existing. It's more a question of exploring.
Yes, yes. This is why what you and I talk about so often, I think there's a bit of a distinction between what there is a lot of narrative out in the world, especially in this space, which is this continuing this tread and loop and a coping and feeling better in the tread and feeling better in the loop. And we are talking about choosing whether we want to be in the loop or out of the loop, but true sovereignty, true constitutional awareness of our own being, to say we are designed to explore, but in fear there is no exploration. In fear there is only hiding and constriction and ultimately death. That
Stagnation.
not breathe will ultimately die. We die when we take our last breath out, last exhale. But while we are living, to come back into this breath, to come back into the truth, to come back into the awareness, life becomes incredibly dynamic and fun and vivid, and the colors are more vivid, and the conversations are more deep and rich, and the interactions that I have with people, that we have with people, are more pleasant and fun, all because we are not in the loop of the tread of going back, and this is how life has to be, so I want to feel better while I have no choice. But it's like, no, you have full choice.
Yes, the choice is in the now moment always, and the choice is in the breath. You know, when I started doing this, breathing in and out more consciously, not doing it as an exercise, you know, I'm going to sit here for 5 minutes and breathe. That's good. You can do that. But if you start reminding yourself of this little tool that is there, the breath, every time I feel that there is something going on, where I feel that someone is agitated or there's a conflict going on, the first thing I do is breathe in and breathe out. I don't stop breathing because there's fear that something might go wrong. I stop time and give myself that time to breathe in and breathe out and just be present in my breath, allow my body to take in more oxygen. And the funny thing that happens in that moment is that I'm able to see when other people jump into their egos. It's almost like wild horses. They become wild. And if I allow their ego to poke my ego because I am not present in my body, then I become a wild horse, and we run like wild horses for a while. Fun for a time, but not very energy draining.
Yes.
So becoming present of my own breath in moments where I feel like, oh, there's something going on here. Oh, this person is trying to trick me, or this is going to happen, or some kind of fear, anger, anxiety, whatever the negative frequency of it is. When I can sense it, I will stop and I will start breathing. Stopping time there. You don't need to react in that second. You can give yourself 3 seconds to just take a deeper breath. And when you do this, it takes a while to start doing it, but when you do it consistently, you will see how it shifts. You can see when other people are ego triggered. Because what happens when you breathe is that you don't allow ego to hold you separated from others. When you breathe, you expand the boundaries that the ego has set. And as we always say, there's nothing wrong with ego. It's just that if it controls you, then you are not a living soul here. You're not allowing that life force. So how do you control ego? By breathing. You expand the boundaries of the ego when you breathe. And I think of it like that, like pushing it out and saying, it's okay, it's all good.
Yes.
It's okay, I can see what's going on. And I don't even need to comment on this. It's enough for me to be aware of that someone is in their ego. I don't need to point and say, oh, you're in your ego now, because that's not popular.
Right.
But just knowing it prevents me from jumping into it and poking back. I can just wait.
You know, there's a fight or when two people are arguing, there's a cadence. It's back and forth, and the cadence is very fluid. And I got this picture, such a beautiful image of someone says something to you, whether it's hurtful to children or adults, it doesn't matter. Like the expectation is the cadence will come back immediately. Can you imagine every person that takes a course or listens to this, everyone watching, someone says something to you to trigger you, and you go, you start breathing, they're going to be like, what the heck's happening? And you change the dynamic of the cadence. And then all of a sudden you speak forth from this power position of not playing that back and forth. It changes the dynamic immediately.
Totally and utterly. You know, why do we answer so quickly when someone throws something at us?
Great question.
Because, but here's, I think, for me at least, is because when I was a child, if I didn't answer quickly enough, then hell would break loose.
That's right.
So what it teaches you is I need to answer very quickly. And that becomes the habitual way of being. Also holding my breath while my father was having his tantrums, holding my breath until he's done. And when I need to answer, then I exhale to answer. And then I inhale again and hold my breath. or I breathe shallow, depending on how afraid I was. Those were the two ways, like holding my breath or breathing in a very shallow way.
Right.
So when I'm now as a grown up, I can literally mother myself again or father myself again, or whatever we want to call it, and say to myself, I don't need to answer this. I can wait. It's okay. I don't need to answer this. Anytime you feel like you need to answer quickly, your ego is triggered and it will hold you in this shallow breathing, or you'll be holding your breath. The natural remedy to that is to breathe in and breathe out, not hold it, not shallow breathing in and breathing out. That's the remedy. When you start there, you start sending signals to your body that it's a new way to interact with my reality. I'm doing something in a different way. This is new. And you become alert, you become more aware. And it's just the breathing. It's so funny to speak about this because it's such a simple thing. And yet we're not able to conquer this until someone tells us to do that.
Yes. Which is why I think I think C.S. Lewis said this quote. He said, the best way to teach a person is to remind them. And
Yes.
It is such a time right now remembering who we are. We are humans. I've been saying this on my podcast. We are so beautiful. We are beyond beautiful as human beings. In fact, the pain caused to us, the sicknesses imposed upon us, whether it's our food, the air, media, governments, politics. I mean, it's just a barrage making us feel less than, not good, comparing, they have, we're not. It's just nonstop. And yet humans still are kind. And we still, we don't pitchfork these people that are causing pain. We are really, yes, this happens, but what I'm saying is, on the whole, humans are so beautiful. And
yes.
we can remember this and remember how to reclaim our sovereignty, how to reclaim our space, how to heal from past traumas, how to pull memories that people say, well, I don't remember my childhood, which I didn't, you didn't for so long. It's like, when we can be in this place of remembering and reclaiming the power where we didn't have power, or reclaiming the space. I'm going to go do this after. I was thinking, I'm going to go back into some of my memories, and that immediate response that I had to give, I'm going to go play with breathing in that and not responding.
Yes.
Like, how does that feel as a little boy to say, my fear was I would have been beaten worse, but memory now, I'm not going to be beaten. So I'm going to go give that little boy some space right now to breathe. How would that feel?
Yeah. You can tell that little boy, I'm here. You don't need to respond.
Yes.
By the way, usually it was such a stupid question that you didn't need to respond. It was just their ego playing out.
Yes.
I remember my father's questions, and I'm like, how am I supposed to respond to that? Like when he says, how many times do I have to tell you? How would I know? I don't know. That's a
so
question.
Oh my gosh.
I used to answer, or he would say, how many times have I told you? And I'm like, I'm not counting this. I don't know how to say. Usually I would say 100 times because I'm such a bad girl. And he would be satisfied with that answer, but that was not an answer. Like that's a stupid question.
Yeah. Yes, it's a stupid question. The question I got asked all the time was, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? What are you thinking about right now? What are you thinking? And I would always tell, like, it was like this invasion into my own mind. It was horrendous. And so I'm going to go back and play with.
Go look at it.
Yeah, and to look at it.
You have no reason to answer in a quick way. No reason at all. I was watching a video the other day, which was viral on Twitter. There's this little boy, and he's really sad. He's just sitting on the floor, and there's a little girl walking by him. I think they're 3 years old, not even that, maybe. And she's so sweet. She walks by and she looks at him and she says, "You happy?" And he's like this. And she says, "Why?" And he doesn't say anything. And she says, "You want a hug?" And he's like this. And she says, "A gentle one?" And he accepts. I love this. A gentle one? She doesn't, there are so many things that are great in this video. For the first thing, she doesn't say, "Are you sad?" She says, "Are you happy?" And he says, "No." And then she asks him, "Do you want a hug?" And he says, "No." She doesn't get angry and walk away. This is a 3-year-old. She doesn't get angry and walk away. She sits.
Feel rejected.
Yes, it's not about her, it's about him. And she knows it. So she says, "A gentle hug?" And he says, "Yes." A gentle hug is what we needed in that moment when they said, "Answer me now." We didn't need to answer. We needed a gentle hug in order to breathe and feel calm and safe. That's the space that we want people to learn.
Yes. Yes.
Being in this gentle space where you literally give yourself a gentle hug and say, "I don't need to answer anything." Not an angry answer. "I don't need to answer you." Just knowing that it's okay. I don't have the answer to this. I can just breathe and see clearly. Maybe I'll find some answer which feels good to me, and then I'll give it to you. It's like becoming much, much more aware of what feels good without hurting everyone else around you.
Yeah.
For me, I was angry for a long time. When I was, say, in my 20s, when people wanted me to answer quickly, I would become really angry and say, "Why would I answer that?" And they would see me as arrogant because I would behave that way. But that's also conditioning. Like when you can't answer, when you always answer in the wrong way to your parent, and then the parent isn't around, you overcompensate and you become arrogant instead. And it's like a pendulum going from one way to the other. I wanted to be here.
Yes. Yes.
Gently going back and forth, not violently going here and there, creating mayhem and storm in my life. This is where the gentle place is, when you allow yourself to breathe. It's also to honor yourself and your time and your space and your physical appearance in this body and your soul wanting to have this exploration, honoring everything by breathing in and breathing out to control the chemicals in your body.
Yes.
Oh, this is such a great Sunday Live. I love talking about this because it's such a simple tool. You don't need to sell it to anyone. It's just there. You can just use it, breathe.
Exactly. Yeah,
and it's just a question of breathing in slowly and breathing out slowly and giving yourself time to find what feels good in that space between in-breath and out-breath.
Yes.
Wow.
Beautiful. Thank you. And thanks everyone for watching this live. Gordana and I do have a course that we are launching next week. And if you go to undoyourpast.com, and I'll put it in the live chat here, you can sign up for it. And we walk you through, I think you and I have worked on this for quite a while to make sure it's exactly the way it should be. Sign up. We're going to release it, let people know that are on our mailing list, and walk you gently through. The picture you just painted of, instead of these pendulum swings, this space is like what we're creating for people, that as best as we can create apart from being in our physical presence. This course, I feel like, and I was explaining this to someone, apart from the energy you can feel with me in the room, or you in the room, this is as close as it gets. It is so beautiful, and it's experiential, and it's healing in so many ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's all about finding a safe space, finding the memories that you need in order to release and create a lighter and brighter future for yourself, becoming more in control of your own creation. It's as simple as that. And I'm so happy that we're going to launch it so soon.
It's going to be beautiful. So thank you, Gordana. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucas.
Everyone
Amazing.
keep breathing
Yes.
through your nose and out your
And
mouth.
out